The refugee crisis that engulfed us this year was something unseen for most, inside and outside of this newsroom. Our reporter Afzal Ahmed takes a look at the crisis and takes us back to his trip to Macedonia.
Eyes like these are tired. Tired of conflict, tired of walking, and now tired of waiting. Here they were once allowed in, hundreds at a time, but now the authorities only allow a few. With the biting cold of the harsh European winter, many are frustrated. Europe this year has faced the worst refugee crisis since the Second World War, with over 1 million refugees now within its borders. Despite fences being built, soldiers deployed, and the introduction of a stricter admission policy, the flow hasn't stopped. The last year has grabbed the hearts and minds of the world, where many are witnessing a crisis they haven't yet seen in their lifetime. It began horribly in April, when a boat off the coast of Libya capsized. Only 27 survivors were accounted for, out of a total of 700. This was the worst disaster to date, and hard not to take notice. From then on, efforts to limit the loss of migrant lives began to catch up with the alarming rate at which migrants were arriving. This meant the authorities were forced to think of ways to accommodate them, with many meetings held to discuss how to go about this. Italy's Prime Minister held an emergency European summit soon after the incident, which strengthened patrolling efforts and secured a military mandate to destroy human trafficking boats. However, this wasn't enough, as the flow continued. Things got worse in July as a group of migrants in Calais, desperate to enter Britain from France, stormed the Channel Tunnel. The flow of traffic from the UK to France was severely disrupted. Back in Greece, hundreds of migrants who were arriving each day by boat from Libya now began arriving from another route across the short crossing from Turkey. It seemed the tragedy of Libya has scared them in taking the passage, nicknamed the route of death. The Greek island of Kos couldn't cope with the sheer numbers arriving, and chaotic scenes flared up as hundreds of migrants fought to be registered in the crowds and heat. The new route, which was carved up now, went from Greece towards Macedonia. The authorities there were unprepared, so they immediately deployed force to contain them. However, this was futile, as the numbers were too many. Many migrants tore through wire fences and ran for freedom. The authorities eventually backed down, as they saw that the migrants were not intending to stay in the country. The route in Macedonia took them by train from the border town of Gevgelija all the way to Tabanovci, a village on the border of Serbia. From there they moved on to Hungary and other northern European countries.
As you can see, they're grabbing what they can, food.
I was there in September following their journey.
Water and, of course, blankets and clothes, which are very important. How was your train ride?
The train is very bad. Very bad, and light, nothing, and people is very
together, crowded.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And are you with your family?
Yes, my family, my wife and my son.
Okay, okay. Where are you guys coming from?
We are from Syria.
What did you do in Syria? What was your job in Syria before the war?
ايش كنت تعمل؟
Cook.
Cook. A chef.
Chef.
In a restaurant.
Restaurant, hotel.
Restaurant, hotel. And what do you like? What would you like to see in Syria?
يحل السلام ترجع بلادنا مثل ما كانت.
So you want peace?
Peace.
In Syria, what did you do? What was your job? I mean, why?
Surveyor.
Surveyor?
Yeah. No more job.
Okay.
We stay in home without they stop the salary.
Okay. And do you?
Then they was bombing our district in my city, Homs. Yeah. After that, I have children. I have my family all. We cannot stay in our district.
So is your family with you?
No, now they are in Lebanon. When our revolution happened in Syria, we surprised that we are facing not a president. He is like a beast. He deals with people, Syrian people, as a beast, not as a president. Everyone said we doesn't like.
This influx soon resulted in tragedy, now not by sea but on the mainland. In Austria, the remains of 71 dead migrants, including 4 children, were found in an abandoned truck. The refugees appear to have been dead for up to 2 days, and fluids from the decomposing bodies were seeping from its door. If this was bad, the world got another shock when the body of a Syrian toddler by the name of Aylan Kurdi washed up on a beach off the popular Turkish holiday resort of Bodrum. The incident prompted sympathy and worldwide outrage. Despite the tragedy, there were rays of hope, as migrants who enjoyed the rickety boats, the force of the police, and the thousands of miles of muddy terrain began arriving at the destinations where they were warmly welcomed by the host population. Many settled in countries such as Holland, Switzerland, Italy and France. But the most welcoming country was Germany, where they received receptions like these. This was short-lived, however, as the situation soon turned sour once they realized that the influx wasn't going to stop. Hungary began erecting razor wire fences, followed by Serbia and then by Romania. This forced migrants to seek other ways, but the walls soon closed upon them. With winter in full thrust, Macedonian authorities are now allowing only Syrians, Afghans and Iraqis in. They regard the others as purely economic migrants. Some have gone back, but many remain, demanding passage. They chant the name of Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, who has been seen a messiah in their eyes because of her open-arm attitude to the crisis. Her admission policy has been criticized by other European leaders who say by her actions their hand has been turned to accommodate these refugees. But she remains defiant and as a result has been named Time magazine's Person of the Year, which is a testament that the magazine says is to a handling of a vast array of issues, including the European economic crisis, the flood of refugees and several deadly terrorist attacks in the region. As the new year draws in, people will be hoping 2016 will bring in more personalities like Angela Merkel, who can put an end to this crisis, where numbers have spiraled wildly out of control. Afzal Ahmed, The Report.